You think crypto exists because people want to get rich. That's what they tell you. That's what you see everywhere. But that's not why it exists. Not even close. The real reason is so obvious that everyone misses it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's what nobody's telling you. Crypto didn't appear because someone wanted to build a new technology. It appeared because the old system broke. Completely broke. And most people don't even know it happened. They're still using money like it's 1950, like nothing changed. But everything changed. And crypto is the response to that change. Not the cause, the response. I need to tell you something about my background. I spent years working inside the banking system. Not as a trader, not as someone making bets. I was on the other side, the side that moves the actual money, the infrastructure side. And what I saw there changed how I understand everything about money. Absolutely everything. Because the system everyone trusts, the one everyone thinks is solid, it's not what you think it is. Not even close. Let me show you something most people never notice. When you have money in your bank account, what do you actually have? You think you have dollars, but you don't. You have a number on a screen. That's it. Just a number. The bank doesn't have your actual dollars sitting in a vault with your name on them. They don't have anything physical at all. They have a database entry, and that database says you're allowed to access a certain amount of money if you want it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That money, the dollars you think are yours, they only exist because someone borrowed them into existence. That's not a theory. That's how the system actually works. Every single dollar in circulation right now exists because someone, somewhere, took out a loan. Think about that. Money doesn't exist until someone goes into debt. No debt, no money. That's the foundation of everything. But here's what nobody notices. If money only exists because of debt, then the system requires more and more debt just to keep functioning. It's not optional. It's structural. The system must expand, must create more loans, must push more debt into circulation, or the whole thing stops working, completely stops. Right now, the United States has more than $30 trillion in national debt. Trillion. That number is so big, most people can't even comprehend it. But here's what matters. That debt isn't a problem to fix. It's the fuel that keeps the engine running. Without it, the dollars in your bank account wouldn't exist. None of them would. And this creates a bigger problem, a fundamental problem. If the system requires endless debt to function, then it requires endless trust. People have to believe the debt will be managed, that it won't collapse, that their money will still be worth something tomorrow. The entire system runs on belief, not on gold, not on assets, on belief. But belief is fragile. Belief can break, and when it breaks, the system breaks with it. That's not speculation, that's history. It's happened before, multiple times. Different countries, different currencies, same pattern. The debt grows too large, people lose faith, and the money becomes worthless. Not slowly, quickly. Now here's where crypto enters the picture. Crypto wasn't created to replace money. It was created to replace trust. That's the part everyone misses. Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency, was launched in 2009, right after the financial crisis, right after people watched the banks fail, watched their money disappear, watched the system they trusted completely break down. And Bitcoin appeared with one simple message: you don't need to trust anyone anymore. Think about what that means. In the traditional system, you have to trust the bank, you have to trust the government, you have to trust that the people managing the debt know what they're doing, you have to trust the whole chain. But with crypto, you don't. The system runs on math, on code, on rules that can't be changed by anyone. No bank can freeze your account, no government can print more of it, no person can manipulate it. The trust is built into the system itself. But here's what makes this truly dangerous for the existing power structure. The current system gives enormous power to the people who control the money supply. Banks, central banks, governments. They decide how much money exists. They decide who gets access to it. They decide the rules.
And that power, it's worth trillions of dollars. Absolutely trillions. So when something like crypto appears and says you don't need those middlemen anymore, those institutions don't just ignore it, they fight it. And this is where things get complicated, because crypto isn't perfect, not even close. It's volatile, it's confusing, it's been used for scams, for hype, for getting people to buy things they don't understand. And all of that is true, completely true. But that doesn't change the fundamental reason it exists. It exists because the old system has a fatal flaw, and people are starting to notice. Here's what's happening right now that most people aren't paying attention to. More and more countries are dealing with currency crises. Their money is losing value, fast. And when that happens, people in those countries turn to crypto. Not because they love technology, not because they want to get rich, because their local currency is worthless and crypto is the only alternative they have. It's happening in Argentina, in Turkey, in Nigeria, in Venezuela, all over the world.
And here's the part that should concern everyone. The United States dollar has been the world's reserve currency for decades. That means everyone trusts it, everyone uses it, everyone holds it. But that trust isn't guaranteed forever. It's conditional, and the condition is simple. The dollar has to remain stable. It has to hold its value. But with 30 trillion in debt and more being added every single day, how long can that stability last? Nobody knows, but the question is being asked. And the fact that the question is being asked at all, that's significant. Crypto exists because the answer to that question might not be what people want to hear. It exists as a backup, as an alternative, as insurance against the possibility that the system everyone trusts might not be trustworthy forever. That's not a prediction. That's just observation. The system is based on debt. Debt requires trust. Trust can break, and crypto is what people turn to when they realize that. Now, let me be absolutely clear about something. I'm not telling you to buy crypto. I'm not telling you it's going to make you rich. I'm not giving you financial advice. What I'm telling you is why it exists and why it's not going away, because the problem it's solving isn't going away. The debt isn't going away, the trust issue isn't going away, and as long as those problems exist, crypto will exist as a response to them. Here's the core truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The financial system you've trusted your entire life is fundamentally different than what you think it is. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by assets. It's backed by faith, by belief, by the collective agreement that pieces of paper and numbers on screens have value. And that agreement works until it doesn't. Crypto is what happens when people stop agreeing, when they look at the debt, look at the inflation, look at the instability, and decide they need something else, something that doesn't require them to trust a government, or a bank, or a system that's proven it can fail. They want something that works regardless of who's in charge, and that's what crypto offers. Not certainty, not safety, but independence from the existing structure. The reason nobody talks about this is because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to question things you've taken for granted your entire life. The value of a dollar, the stability of the system, the trustworthiness of institutions. And most people don't want to question those things. They want to believe everything is fine, that the system is solid, that their money is safe. And maybe it is. Maybe the system holds. Maybe the debt never becomes a problem. Maybe trust never breaks. But crypto exists because maybe isn't good enough for everyone. Some people want certainty. They want control. They want to hold something that doesn't depend on someone else's promise. And whether you agree with that or not, whether you think crypto is the solution or not, you have to understand that the demand for it is real, and it's growing. Not because people are greedy, but because they're uncertain. And uncertainty creates demand for alternatives. This isn't about technology. It's not about blockchain or decentralization or any of that. It's about trust. And when trust in the existing system wavers, people look for something else. That's human nature. That's history. And that's why crypto exists. If you want to understand money before it moves, not after, subscribe to Dropout Finance. We don't hype. We don't predict. We don't promise gains. We explain what's actually happening while everyone else is distracted by noise. This is about seeing the system clearly. Nothing more, nothing less.